Hi, welcome to this video which is about NVM, why you might want to use NVM, how to install NVM on a Mac, and then how one goes about using NVM to select a version of Node to run a really simple sample Node application against. So Node's arrived on the scene in the development world, in the IT world, and there's no getting past it. There are commands now that require, commands and tools that require a Node installation to run, and not only a Node installation, but sometimes a specific version of Node. Some of the Node libraries are also compiled from other languages, and sometimes those libraries aren't ready for the most recent versions of Node. So what that means is sometimes you need to use a specific version of Node for a specific purpose, and NVM's there to help you with that. It allows you to have multiple versions of Node available in the same environment and provides a convenient way to switch between them. Let's walk through how we install NVM. One of the prerequisites is that you have the Xcode command line tools installed on a Mac. Now, if you want to check whether it's installed or not, you use the Xcode select -p command, and if it's installed, it'll show you the directory where that is installed. If it's not installed, the command to use is Xcode select -- install, but since I have this installed already, I don't need to do that. Right. The next step is to install NVM itself once you have those Xcode command line dev tools installed. Now, what I recommend you do here is you Google GitHub NVM, and the NVM official repo page contains instructions on how to install NVM on your specific environment. The reason I recommend you go there is I'm going to show you a command now that will get an install version 0.3.8. But by the time you watch this video, there may be a more recent version of NVM available. Let's run that one. Once NVM is installed, it's available as an alias. The NVM doesn't resolve to a file, so you can't use the which command. And if we use NVM -- version, that's probably what I would recommend you do. That will confirm that you've got the version of NVM that you expect you do. Now, once I've installed NVM, that means that it gives us access to versions of Node, but they're not pre-installed by default. I'll have some here because this is the first time I've installed NVM on this machine. But if you want to be able to see which versions are available, this takes a little while. One uses NVM ls remote, and that will take a little while. It'll go off to the internet, and it'll tell you about all the different versions of Node.js that NVM can make available to you. And if we wanted to install a specific version, we type in NVM install 16.7. It's already installed, otherwise it would go off and get it for us. As NVM ls remote lists what's available remotely, NVM ls shows us what's available locally. Okay, if we want to pick a version of NVM to use, let's say 14.7.3. That's the command. We can check that. Node -- version 14.7.3. Now, let's say we want to use the latest one. This is typically the case. We use NVM use default 16.7, and we can confirm that that's the case by using Node -- version. The NPM version changes accordingly too. The NPM version is normally different to the Node version, so I've got 7.2.3 there. Now, if we wanted to use 16.7 as our default version each time that we log back in, I can append this NVM use default to my Z shell RC So that's my Z shell startup file. And then just to prove that, if I open up a new command tab, and I go node minus version 16.7.0, good stuff. So we've shown you how to install NVM, and we've shown how to switch between different versions of Node using NVM, and how to change our startup script to make sure that we've got a version that we expect when we start a new window and log in. Let's show you how to create a really simple sample application and use NVM to select how we run that. So I'm going to create using VI, very simple application. What we do is we declare an array with the 20 odd letters of the Greek alphabet. We then take that array and we split that into an array of arrays, each of which containing a maximum of 5 entries each. So without trying to confuse people, this isn't about programming, it's about using NVM. If there may be some APIs which will only accept a certain number of entries that you could read or write or perform actions on at a certain time. Say DynamoDB may have a limit of 25 items. There's a package called Lodash, module called Lodash, a third-party library that provides us this chunking capability. We don't have to write it ourselves. And then, so what we're expecting is for data to be split up into bits. So bits will be an array of arrays. Each of those arrays will contain a maximum of 5 elements. We're going to try and run this now. Let's move that into the directory we expect it to be into. So if I run this now, let's go node minus version, we're running 16.7 as we expect. Node sample.js, this won't run because it can't find the module Lodash. What we want to do is use the npm init command. That'll create a package.json file for us. And I'll take the blame for this project. So there's a package.json file which keeps track of the different dependencies that you use and the sort of different commands that you can run for your project. I'm not going to go into depth in that, but at the moment that file, which is just above, doesn't contain any dependencies. So what we want to do is we use the npm install command to install Lodash. So as we were using NVM to install versions of Node, we're now using Node Package Manager, to install the Lodash library. And if we now have a look at our package.json file, we can see here that it's created that, it's made a node of that dependency, and there'll be a Node module directory because it's installed locally that has that Lodash library installed. So if I use the node command now, expect this to run. Yes. So that first line was yes. So what we're seeing there is that we've used Node 16.7 to run that. Let's do an nvm ls. Let's go to an earlier version. NVM use 1.8.4, and let's see if that runs. So we're actually running this with a really early version of Node, and that still works. So, which means this Lodash library, as you'd probably expect, is backwards compatible with really early versions of Node. That's fantastic. But there may be libraries where you do need a specific version of Node in order to run. To wrap this video up, we've looked at what NVM is, how we use it, why we use it. We've gone through a sample, albeit very simple application. I have a final message for you. Be kind to yourself. Set this up before you start development work, before you run into dependency hell. You're going to have the cognitive bandwidth to do this easily when you're setting up. If you're already running into problems and issues and you're trying to sort those out, that's not the time to be learning another tool. Anyway, end of lecture. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.